Why, hello everybody, welcome. I'm Noah02. It's good to see you, hope you're well. We are talking about support cards and being support. It's been 2 updates since I last talked about and showed off support decks. This video is going to not be so much about digging super deep into the deck building aspect, though we're going to talk about it a little bit here. This video is going to, I highly recommend you check out the timestamps. This video we're going to be talking about 2 cards specifically that have been changed in the update, one of them being amped up, the other one being Field Surgeon. Why amped up is so good, why Field Surgeon is not so good, how we can look at those 2 cards and quantify why one's good, why one's questionable, and how we can fit them into decks and things like that. So one, we'll talk about those 2 cards. 2, we're going to talk about just general support philosophy in this game right now. I think as far as the meta is concerned and how the game works and functions and the deck functions and works. How we should be viewing support cards, how we should be thinking about them and in terms like that. So like the general philosophy of support cards. Then I'm going to talk about these decks right here. These are just combinations of support cards that I think sort of accomplish a specific thing, like the spam healer, or really big heals, or having heals that heal the whole team, like a splash damage healing thing. And some utility cards that are still support, but not always dealing with health, or utility cards that support your ability to heal people, but don't necessarily provide healings themselves. And then 2 example decks of how we take these combinations of support cards and sprinkle them into decks while taking in the context of what act we're playing, so that we can be a nice, well-rounded character that still calls themselves support. Right, and so I wanted to talk about Amped Up and Field Surgeon. We'll start with Field Surgeon here. When you use a medical accessory, restore 3 trauma to the target. Kind of neat. They added 2 new options to healing trauma in this February update. Another one's Medical Expert, that also restores trauma. But I just want to look at Field Surgeon in particular, because that's all it does. And this card's in the spam healer, because the idea might be, if I have all kinds of pain pills and bandages and little things here and there, I could be stacking trauma recovery over and over again on the team. How cool, how neat. This card, though, has an issue, and it's the issue of quantity. How many heals do we need to use for Field Surgeon to make a difference? You might say, just 1. 3 here, 3 there. But taking the edge off, right? But if we look at a card like Safe Room Recovery, where the whole team heals 7 trauma damage at the beginning of each level, that's a net gain of 28 trauma, right? 7 times 4, 1 for each player. 28 trauma recovered for the whole team. Now, Safe Room Recovery only triggers once per level, but it also gives health and some ammo as well. But if we were to quantify Field Surgeon just from a trauma point of view, at what point does Field Surgeon net gain our team more trauma than Safe Room Recovery? And that's simple math. It's 10 times. If you use a medical accessory 10 times, you will net gain your team 30 points of trauma recovery. 10 accessories. At 9, you're at 27. At 10, you're at 30. Is that worth it? We could, with 1 card, heal almost 30 points of trauma and have our team heal some health. What was that 60 points of health net gain, as well as 40% of ammo net gain as well for the whole team. And so and the point of healing trauma is to, I mean, really the way to quantify that is to avoid having to use a medicine cabinet. Health is the most expensive resource in the game. Healing is very expensive. Medkit's 300 copper. Using a med cabinet, 400 copper. If you don't have to use the free charge, or using beyond the free charge, right? But offensive things are very, very cheap. It's much better to throw a grenade at something than take a hit and heal. Right, but I just want to sort of quantify how we can look at a card here like Field Surgeon and understand, is this really good? We need to use it 10 times to be better than a different card. And it's 3 here, 3 there, 3 there. I'm sure it adds up over time, but again, we're talking about tons and tons and tons of heals. I think Field Surgeon has a place. I think Field Surgeon could work. Right, but just keep that in mind. Keep your creative juices flowing here as far as understanding. Man, am I really going to get that much value out of Field Surgeon? Let's contrast that with Amped Up. It's Amped Up. There's two things happening here, and they're both beneficial for or there's two ways that we can look at this card, and they're both great for the team. I've talked about in the past having cards that need certain requirements to be filled. One of them I talked about before is Charitable Soul, and that I need to be hurt as well. Right? In order for me to get value out of Charitable Soul, I need to be hurt as well. And sometimes that's not the case. And so if I need to heal a teammate, and I heal them, but I'm not hurt, I have a card in my deck that's just not getting that much use. And if I'm a better player than my teammates, I'm sure many of you feel that pain of getting bad teammates. If you're better than your teammates, then Charitable Soul might take the edge off for you, but as far as healing you, like topping you off health-wise. But again, if you're just getting chip damage and your teammates are taking all kinds of health, Charitable Soul is a card that only comes in clutch when you and another player are both severely hurt. I'm not saying Charitable Soul is a bad card, but it just has circumstances that need to be fulfilled in order for you to get the value out of it. Amped Up, though, complete opposite. Complete opposite. Right? If you're going through a map and you're not triggering any hordes, Amped Up doesn't get any use. But are you taking any damage? If you're not triggering any hordes, how much damage are you taking? Do you really need healing at that point if you're triggering literally 0 hordes in a mission? Probably not that much damage, right? You might go, oh, well, Amped Up's not getting me any value. But the reality of it is, aren't you triggering hordes? Almost every mission has some sort of horde triggering mechanic in it, built in, right? On Pain Train, you have the sand trap that you have to trigger. You have to destroy nests, blowing up nodes, and each node triggers a horde. You can cut that in half if you check out my node stacking video where you learn how to stack nodes and cut the hordes in half. But still get the full value out of Amped Up. Right? The reality of it is, if nothing bad is happening, Amped Up doesn't get any use, but you're not taking any damage. If the world is falling apart and you're getting birds and sleepers and snitches and they're all getting triggered, how many times does Amped Up happen in a mission? Twice? 3 times? 4 times? 5 times? Even if it happens once, it's a net gain for your team of 100 points of health. Temporary health, in a moment where you are at the highest chance of taking damage in the middle of a horde event, which means chances are you're going to get most of the value out of that health, and if you don't take any damage during that horde event, then great! Woohoo! That's awesome, we did it! You probably still have some temporary health left over, keep moving on, trigger another horde, it begins to stack. And also, too, Amped Up stacks with other players' cards, so you can get up to 100 plus points of health, or 100 points of health per horde. A full heal. A full heal. And after that horde event is over, how much temporary health do you have left over? 75 points of health? Right? And counting down. So just as a contrast, Amped Up is a card that triggers often, gives a crap ton of health when it does trigger, it stacks for even more health. Amped Up is crazy. Crazy good card. I just wanted to talk about that, how we can quantify looking at cards, understanding how often does the card trigger, what value are we really getting out of it when it does trigger. Cool. The next thing I want to talk about is just general support philosophy. One thing that I want to say is that, like Amped Up, if nothing bad happens, you don't get any value out of it. But that's kind of true of all of the support cards. The better you are, the less damage you take. The better your team is, the less damage they take. The reality of it is, the better that you and your team are, the less valuable your support cards become. On the flip side, if your team is really bad, and they're struggling, obviously having some heals and big heals and all the medical accessories in the world can be really nice, can extend their life, help them get further into the mission than they normally would have. At the same time, though, at what point does how much supplies you have and how bad your teammates are, at some point you run out of stuff, at some point your teammates just flat out die, and then what? You're all by yourself. The point I'm trying to get at here is, I would not recommend a deck that just looks like this. It's just combat medic and medical expert and utility scavenger and support scavenger and needs of the many, and right? Like, don't commit 90% of your cards to healing efficiency and healing cards and support cards, and it just doesn't work like that. There is no clutch healer strong enough as far as our 15 cards go that can out heal bad teammates, right? So don't super commit to having just all of the support cards, because if you have really bad teammates, eventually it's gonna fall off. They're gonna die. You can't out heal bad teammates. You can only heal bad teammates for so long. And also, if nothing bad is happening, you have a deck that's totally useless for the most part. A deck that I think maybe is not that fun, because you get to have your fun when you use a medkit, and if no one's taking damage, then you don't get to have fun. Is that how that works? I don't know. That's just the general philosophy, I think, is that less is more when it comes to having the support cards ready to go. Because, again, bad things need to happen in order to get value out of them. But the better you are, the less often you use them. And if you have really bad teammates, then it doesn't really matter either way. Which sort of leads me to why we have these groups of cards here, right? The spam healer, big heals, and splash damage heals. Right? Just sort of combinations of support cards that sort of accomplish maybe an idea or a concept that allows us to be the support character of the team. But you'll notice that there's only 5 cards here. I have 3 cards in this one, and 5 cards again in this one. If we were running all 5 of these cards, and these 5 cards accomplish a thing and allow us to be the support player, what we got? 10 more cards to play around with, right? That's why I think support decks are going to look, and I'm going to show an example of it here, right? Should look more like this. You'll have 4, 5, maybe 6 support cards, but then the rest of your deck will be other things. Let's get into these groups of cards. The spam healer. This is based off of the idea that we have lots and lots of quantity to go off of, right? Another thing about being the support, if you tell your team or if you're playing Doc, the better players will go, hey Doc, can you heal me with this thing, right? So in order for the spam healer idea to really flourish and work at 100% mid-maxi all the time, ideally you're getting lucky on support scavenger, but also your teammates are dropping their things as well and saying, hey, can you heal me with this? But essentially it's this idea that every time we use a medical accessory, whether it's bandages, pain pills, or the medkit, we're getting different bits of value out of it, right? Support scavenger for quantity. Medical experts here, just for example, It falls into Field Surgeon here, where I don't know if it's really that good, but healing efficiency, that's kind of nice, right? But then restore 1 point of trauma, restore 3 points of trauma with Field Surgeon, Poultice, because if we end up using pain pills, it still actually heals real health. And then group therapy, right? So we're spamming. The idea is medkits, bandages, pain pills, whatever. We're popping them, we're using them, it's great. And the idea around this could be like, maybe you're carrying medkits with you. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't buy any medical accessories when you leave, or maybe you just buy a couple of pain pills when you leave the safe room. And the idea is leave nothing behind, right? At this point, if we were to have all 5 of these cards, and your team for the most part is healthy, everyone's filled up on their supply, on their support accessories, they can't carry anymore, but you come across those pain pills, random pain pills on the map, pick them up, pop them on somebody, the team gets healed all their chip damage, right, with 8 plus whatever the healing efficiency is, that person recovers some trauma, and whatever trauma is recovered is guaranteed to be healed up with Poultice. Whether it's pills, band, whatever, right? And the idea is just whatever we use, the entire team is going to benefit. Most of the players will be covering a little bit of trauma here and there. And I mean, Poultice turns your bandages into a medkit, right? 25 plus 20 is 45. Find a 45-point heal bandage in the middle of a map. That's a lot of health. That's half your health bar. Half of your health bar. Find pain pills. Poultice turns your pain pills into bandages. Great. And recover, right? So you can sort of get this point here, is that if we pretty much are leaving nothing behind here. Everyone's going to be carrying something all filled up, and whatever is excess left over, you're just using it anyways, because all these little numbers here will add up over time. All these little numbers here, the chances of you being able to heal at least one person, even if it is just 3 points of trauma, there's no reason to leave pain pills behind and just pop them on someone, right? Just pick them up, pop them on someone, they heal 3 points of trauma, who cares, and then you move on. And it's over time that can give a lot of value, and etc. That's the spam healer concept that I think has sort of been created with this February update because of Field Surgeon and potentially Medical Expert. At the same time, though, you might look at Field Surgeon and look at Safe from Recovery and go, I don't really seem to be hitting 10 accessories every level, etc., etc., etc. Here's the big heals. You might think, well, there's not a lot of healing efficiency here. Look at all these cards they give. Healing efficiency. We have one of them. We also have Poultice. Now, before this February update, in my previous support video, I ran about the values of Poultice versus the healing efficiency cards. Poultice does the same thing as these healing efficiency cards, but at one point in time, EMT Bag had a negative effect on it. Poultice is still better than antibiotic ointment. And it's just better than 15% healing efficiency. Poultice does everything that these healing efficiency cards, at the very least, equally, but has the added benefit of giving pain pills 20 points of healing on it. But if we're looking to get big heals, we're going to be using the medkit. Now, this is an interesting thing about trauma versus health. I've seen lots of people running support, and they have all the big heals. They got Medical Professional and Poultice and EMT and antibiotic ointment and Medical Expert, and they're like, yeah, I got all of it. I got Charitable Soul right here, and they're like, yeah, my medkit heals for like 125, 150. That's great, cool. But if somebody is taking damage to the point that they need a big heal, like a medkit, how much trauma do they have? What's their max health value at? We all start at 100, and over the course of getting random cards, maybe we got Walker, and we got maybe a couple of cards in our deck that give us extra health. I bet you the average player health is probably around 120th, 120-ish, 130-ish points of health. All my decks have almost cross trainers and superior cardio, so we're always all around 110 to 120 plus the basic cards, right? If you take 100 points of damage, how much trauma do you have? How much trauma do you have? The point I'm trying to make is that if you have a big healing item, really big healing item, you're probably not getting all the value out of it because the person who needs a big healing item probably has 20, 30, 40 points of trauma on them. Right? Just totally smashed down, hit by a couple of tall boys or whatever, they heal themselves, you heal them, the reality of it is, we don't need medkits that heal for a gazillion points of health. Because the chances of you getting maximum value out of that 200 health medkit, very low. The circumstances in which you get a maximum value 200 HP medkit is just extremely rare. You'll need a teammate who has extra health cards in their deck. They'll need to have some amount of trauma resistance built into their deck as well. And then they need to take a crap ton of damage. And then you heal them, right? And those things just don't happen all the time. So I think, again, here, less is more. Where if we run Poultice and EMT Bag, our vanilla medkit heals for 95 points of health. That's pretty good. If we get upgrades, maybe someone else in the team picks up healing efficiency or whatever, for the most part, 95 points of health, that's an entire health bar. And if somebody has 100 points of health and they get smashed by something and they got a bunch of trauma, Medical Expert will remove most of that trauma, heal them up to 4. Because also, too, think about this. Are you healing somebody who's at 1 point of health, 5 point of health? Sometimes, right? That happens sometimes. But the reality of it, again, is it's the circumstances of healing somebody who's literally on death's door doesn't always happen. What really happens more often is somebody gets hit, they got 20, 30, maybe even 40 points of health. Half of their health bar is gone, a quarter of it is traumatized out. And they're going to look to you as the support character to go, hey, do you want to heal me? I'm like, at 30 points of health. You got a 200 health medkit, and are you really gonna tell them? No, man, that's not. I waste my value if I heal you. They're gonna think you're a crappy support, right? So we don't need to worry about getting, to the moon numbers for big heals. I think 95 points, that's pretty good. And if you get upgraded medkits, it's more. And that's sort of the weird interaction between trauma and healing, is that trauma doesn't really allow you to get super big heals consistently. You need something else to deal with the trauma, which is why we have medical professional. But then it's like we can go down this rabbit hole of like medical professional and then what, and medical expert and field surgeon, and we heal 19 points of trauma and plus the medkit trauma heal if it's upgraded, and then it's just a rabbit hole. So I think less is more. These 3 cards right here, if you're looking to use medkits as often as possible, you could even potentially skip getting Support Scavenger, get an extra money card maybe, and you're just going to go, hey, I'm going to leave every safe room with 3 medkits. And that's 300 points of healing for the most part, and that should be enough. That's more than enough. And the nice thing about this too is very minimalistic, right? If you just want to go medkit, big heals, 3 cards, and then you can commit to other things as well. Kind of cool. Splash damage. You're going to see that a lot of the cards for the spam healer as well as the splash damage sort of cross over. It all sort of is based around the idea that we're healing lots and lots of chip damage, right? If a great example is Garden Party, where the entire team has to go through the maze. There's a lot of opportunity for splash damage there because you're in the maze, you're in a hallway, or you're all clumped up. One wretch shows up, he vomits. Everyone scatters. Everyone takes 2 or 3 points of damage here or there. A hunter shows up and pins somebody, and that does splash damage to other characters standing by them, and blah, 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 blah. Lots of opportunity for just little bits of damage here and there, splash damage, chip damage, whatever. Here we have group therapy to, again, if you heal somebody, the whole team gets healed. amped up. If everyone's hurt and a horde is triggered, the whole team gets healed. Inspiring Sacrifice, the whole team gets healed. Charitable Soul, if you're hurt and somebody else is hurt, you both get healed. But just the idea that we take our medical accessories and we sort of just turn it into, I don't know, if a medical accessory is an arrow, we turn our arrow into I don't know, a 4-headed arrow. You know what I mean? Just the idea of just our medical accessories heal everybody a little bit for their chip damage to try and keep everyone healthy. I think decks like this could really, really work in team settings where you're confident in your team's skill, where everyone for the most part is doing really, really well. And you know that, chip damage here and there, maybe once or twice somebody will need a big heal, but for the most part it's just going to be all this little damage here and there that you can take care of. So just sort of 3 basic concepts of just how we can look at the accessory cards, combine them together to sort of accomplish a different thing, and etc. But support is not just healing as well. We have other things that are also valuable to being a support character. Right, Combat Medic helps you pick people up, use speed. Right, medical support, and all the team effects are for the most part support. But right, because we have like mandatory PT, we're supporting the team's ability to run faster or run further. Could be a really nice pickup for the crossing, broken bird, the body dump, etc. Right. All the scavenger cards are great, supporting the team, providing the team with extra resources on your mark for the infinite ammo. Inspiring Sacrifice for the heals, right? Needs of the Many, support card, EMT, support card, give the health, give the staminas, right? Knowledge is power, though. Increase the team's damage. Shredder, increase the team's damage, right? Support damage. Box of Bags, as well as the surplus pouches that gives the team extra offensive item slot. You can support the team with the ability to carry more junk. As well as, too, if you're the support character, Box of Bags can be a great way for quantity, right? Because if you're running support scavenger and maybe you're not running a bunch of spammy heal stuff, but you still want to pick up things on the way, Box of Bags is the one card that's going to allow you to net gain the most carry potential. Copper Scavenger, right? Share the Wealth. Cards that benefit the entire team's economy. And Safe Room Recovery. Just the entire team gets to heal and recover trauma each mission. There's lots of extra cards here that we can consider to be support. But like I said before, we don't want to just fully commit to all of them. We want to sprinkle them in. We want to take into the consideration the act that we're playing. You also want to consider if you're playing with friends and teammates who are going to let's all 4 of us make decks. Let's all work together. What are you playing? What are you playing? Playing in a team setting and playing in solo queue, totally different. You can't, if you design a deck for a team setting and then take it into solo queue, you're going to run into problems where maybe you have 2 characters who have fully committed to support, you don't have enough damage now, or you don't have enough grenades anymore. Or you have bad teammates and you just can't heal all of them, and once they're dead, what do you got? You got empty support bags, right? You got nothing left support item-wise, and your gun doesn't do enough damage, or you can't run fast enough now. Things like that. So let's look at how we can sprinkle these cards into an act. This is the spammer idea, right? So we're going to have some of the cards in the spammer thing, as well as some other cards as well. So here we have Share the Wealth and Support Scavenger. We're going to double down on economy. Give our team extra money, as well as our team extra supplies, as well as ourselves extra supplies, so we can take full advantage of our spam heavy or our support cards that like lots and lots and lots of heals over time. Keep in mind that these decks are built a little bit more around the idea that you're playing with teammates or friends who are coordinating. These are not solo clutch decks here. And then we get Experienced DMT, Poultice, and Fanny Pack. So now, no matter what we're using, right, pain pills included, we are getting health. We're giving our team extra stamina, extra maximum health. I don't know if Experienced DMT still recovers trauma. I assume it does. But even if it doesn't, it's still a great card in general. And then Fanny Pack, so we can carry some extra stuff. Give ourselves trauma resistance, who cares? And then we're going to pick up Amped Up, going into Blazing Trails. Blazing Trails has the Nest, which is 2 to 4 hordes if you are stacking nodes versus not stacking nodes. But each of those hordes will trigger Amped Up. When you enter the burning area on Blazing Trails, you get a timer for a fire zombie horde. If you're going too slow, that'll trigger once or twice before you get to the bridge just before the parking lot. So again, another opportunity for Amped Up to trigger. Lots of opportunity here for Amped Up to trigger, as well as it being fire zombies. There's a lot of potential. Just fire zombie shows up, gets too close, you shoot him, you kill the fire zombie, but then you need to step away, take a point of damage here or there. The Amped Up is going to be great for helping your team to resist all that little bit of chip damage as well as chip trauma damage that you can suffer. Because of that reason, right, we got group therapy here going into Cabins by the Lake. And it's not necessarily that group therapy is a great card necessarily for Cabins by the Lake, but I'm just thinking in terms of, one, we have Garden Party coming up next, which is a splash damage heavy mission once you're in the maze, but also when you're doing the holdout event, the Nest in the greenhouse on Garden Party. It's hallways, right? It's the scaffoldings, it's long hallways. There's lots of opportunities for splash damage on Garden Party, but we're also picking it up before then, because when you're holding out against the horde in Cabins by the Lake, chances are you're holding out in a house. And sometimes you're holding out in literally a closet where you have all 4 players crouching in a closet. You throw a grenade at a tall boy that shows up. It does a little bit of chip damage to the whole team because of the splash, but you kill the tall boy better than everyone getting hit for 50 points of damage. Things like that. So between Cabins by the Lake as well as Garden Party, Group Therapy is, I think, a great card to include in our sort of spammable idea here, where we're scavenging for as many things as possible, popping them all the time, popping them as often as we can, carrying what we can, etc. But now we have double grenade pouch. We don't really need the movement speed here for Garden Party. Speed running through the maze is pretty toxic, can be quite volatile. But for the most part, we're trapped in a hallway in the maze, right? We're in the Garden Party maze, we're trapped in a hallway. A tall boy shows up right in front of you. The horde is pushing in on your heels. Having extra grenades here just to kill a tall boy or stumble it to give your team enough time to deal the rest of the damage to it, going to be super duper clutch, right? So just slow and steady wins the race in the garden. So having the extra grenade pouch is just going to allow you, or going to give you more consistency to get further into the map, to deal with more random problems that show up, and hopefully get you deeper into the maze. And again, lots of opportunity for splash damage with your own grenades. But we got Amped Up and Group Therapy, all really nice things to help your team just tank through a lot of damage, get to the end. Now we're at T5, Cold Brew Coffee. Cold Brew Coffee, I think, is just like the easiest card to include in literally every deck. Reload speed. With this deck, you're going to be one of the persons on the staircase holding off the horde. So reload speed is going to be really nice to help you and your teammates deal with the horde. Reloading faster means that you can keep pumping bullets down range and keeping the zombies at bay. Aim speed, just nice convenience, doesn't really matter. Weapon swap speed, swapping from your gun to your grenade, from your whatever to your bandages or medkit or whatever. Going to be really, really nice to help take just a second off, right? Just take that little bit of edge off as far as reaction time goes to getting your grenade out in time to blow up a tall boy in mid-charge. Things like that, right? So swap speed, really nice quality of life. And then use speed, right? We're spamming all kinds of bandages and pills and medkits, wherever we got, we're using them. 25% faster use speed is going to be really, really, really nice when you're just using all of the medical accessories, swapping back to your gun, etc. Now we pick up Field Surgeon. In other videos and past videos I've talked about, like when we run Safe Room Recovery, where we put a trauma resistance card kind of matters, because card 10 is a friend in need. And for the most part, this is a checkpoint, right? And so for the most part, you're going to be starting from this checkpoint a lot of the times, because the chances of you starting from the very first mission and going all the way to the end doesn't happen very often. If that does happen, then Field Surgeon, you get the value immediately. Trauma cards, you get the value immediately, right? Because you're on a continuous mission here that takes into account all the last, whatever, 10 cards worth of missions that we've gone through. If you're starting, though, from a checkpoint, having a trauma recovery card doesn't really matter, like Safe Room Recovery, because you start the checkpoint at full health anyway. So Safe Room Recovery is a dumb card to put first mission, or to put on a checkpoint. But Field Surgeon, though, triggers during the mission over time, right? So having Field Surgeon right on the checkpoint, I think, makes maximum sense, because we're at full health, taking all little bits of chip damage here and there and here and there. If you have Field Surgeon as your first card, or the card you pick up on the checkpoint, that means that between this checkpoint and the next checkpoint, you're getting maximum possible value out of Field Surgeon. Maximal possible value. If we include it earlier, we're saying to ourselves, we're going to go from checkpoint to checkpoint and beyond, right? Otherwise, pick up Field Surgeon right on a checkpoint, because then you just, that also nets you the maximum value, because you're just using it over and over again during that first mission, and then hopefully by the time you get to the second mission, Field Surgeon is triggered, what, our 10 times, but anyways. And now cross trainers, and we're just building up now to having enough stamina of movement speed so that we can comfortably do the body dump, right? But at this point, look at our, we have Support Scavenger, EMT, Poultice, Fanny Pack, Amped Up, Group Therapy, Field Surgeon, right? With the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 support cards. But then we have Share the Wealth, benefits us, also kind of a support card, right? We got Double Grenade Pouch, though, that's kind of fun. Throwing grenades is fun. Then Cross Trainers, Fleet of Foot, Mandatory PT, and at 13 we're now at the body dump, and we just have extra stamina and movement speed for ourselves, extra movement speed, help compensate for Double Grenade Pouch. We now run a little bit faster. Mandatory PT to help the entire team run nice and quick for the body dump. And then because of T5 grenades for body dump, there's a gazillion possible grenades that you can throw. Every single one of them triggers Fire in the Hole. And Superior Cardio, if we need to get there, right? Fire in the Hole and Superior Cardio, if we really need to get there. Personally, I think Fire in the Hole is better than Mandatory PT, but it's only better for us, right? Only better for us. So we're the support character, we'll make that sacrifice, we'll pick up PT first. Fire in the Hole if we need it. And so you can just sort of see how our deck doesn't need to be super duper fully committed to one thing. We sort of backload movement speed here because that's just the way Act 3 sort of goes. Even the extra movement speed is really, really nice to have when you're on Road to Hell for the 3 gates that you need to run through while a Horde event is happening. But of course, too, we got Amped Up triggering for each of those gates and things like that. Ooh, another thing that I need to talk about real fast that I forgot to mention for Amped Up. When it comes to some of these finales or infinite Horde events that will happen on occasion, one of them is like Rolling Thunder or Bad Seeds, where infinite hordes can be triggered. Keep in mind that Amped Up only triggers when you hear the howling, right? When a horde is triggered, you hear the howl. Well, some of these events have infinite zombies spawning and attacking you, but the howl only happens once. In Rolling Thunder, when you shoot the field cannon for the first time, you get the howling of the ridden, and then Amped Up triggers. For the most part, though, for the rest of Rolling Thunder, the zombies keep coming, but there's no more yowling, right? There's no more audible cues that a horde is being triggered because the first one's triggered and it's infinite. So, like on Rolling Thunder, Amped Up only triggers once. There's an infinite horde once you get past the bridge on Bad Seeds. Amped Up only triggers once. On contrast, though, like Broken Bird, there is an audio glitch right now on Broken Bird where you don't hear the howl. But if you were to, you can go test this yourself. I tested this earlier today. You can go to Broken Bird, get your bots, and post up in a corner. Zombies will come, a howl will happen, right? You'll get amped up, healed, and then you can just chill there, just hang out, deal with the horde. The horde will die. You'll get like a little lull where nothing's happening, and then a howl will happen again. I'm saying howl too much. Can you guys even understand me when I say howl? Because I can't understand myself now when I say it. A horde will trigger, you'll get the audio cue for it, and amped up will trigger again. And the way that Broken Bird works is that if you don't hook up the crate, you'll keep getting audio cues for a new horde to spawn. And so amped up triggers literally every time. So amped up, I think, is a really nice card to have or to pick up when you get the Broken Bird, just because if you end up getting trapped or stuck somewhere and you sort of like are trying to like inch your way forward, you'll get multiple audio cues for the horde, and amped up will heal you infinitely. If there's infinite hordes on Broken Bird, you have infinite healing as well. Let's keep that in mind. And not all of the infinite horde events are triggering amped up multiple times, but Broken Bird will trigger amped up infinitely, so long as you're not dead. Here's our big heals deck. Obviously here we have more than 3 support cards, but not that many. Not that many. Here we have Hazard Pay Double Grenade Pouch. My favorite combination. Still good, right? Act 1, getting through Resurgence with -5 move speed, not a big deal. You can do it. I did it. You can do it. I believe in you. But having the extra money, this is a little more solo clutchy than the Act 3 deck. A little more solo clutchy here. Hazard Pay Double Grenade Pouch, giving you the money and economy, as well as the grenade economy to deal with mutations to get through any given mission. Fleet of Foot to compensate for Grenade Pouch and begin building up movement speed and stamina for the crossing. EMT, because we're support, right? Health, stamina, etc. Helps the team, helps with the crossing. Then we get Cross Trainers. Going into the crossing, extra movement speed, extra stamina. We're good to go for the crossing. Then we pick up Poultice. Again, just Poultice, 20 points of health, whether using a bandage, pain pills, or the med kit. 20 points of health is, for the most part, equal to or greater than all the other healing efficiencies. The only thing that beats it is EMT bag, and only when you're using the med kit, because 50% of 50 is 25, right? So Poultice is just the most bang for your buck value. 20 points of health. It's better than all of the healing efficiency cards, except for EMT bag, but Poultice also heals you when you're using pain pills. Then we can pick up Medical Professional. Keep in mind with this deck, right, versus the spam decks, is that we don't have Support Scavenger. Don't have it. We could. It would be a great addition to this deck, but we've decided with this deck to invest into use speed because we're going to be the field cannon person. And by the time we get at this point, it's just the Support Scavenger doesn't. The Support Scavenger becomes useless once you get to Rolling Thunder. So we're investing extra cards. We're basically cutting out Support Scavenger so that we can invest more into Rolling Thunder when we get there. Medical Professional for the medkits. And at this point, hopefully we have enough money to keep buying medkits. Keep in mind, too, that we're really delaying our fanny pack. So we got, what, 1 medkit? 2 for Mom. And ideally, this deck works best with Mom because of the extra life, which is why I sort of did that. I didn't really talk about what character you play. The Act 3 Spammer deck, you can play it with anybody. But when it comes to Medical Professional, the best character that synergizes with this card is Mom anyway, so sort of a great Mom deck just in general. Poultice, Medical Professional, and then we pick up Amped Up. And the reason why we're picking up Amped Up here on card 8 is Barroom Blitz. And if the jukebox is destroyed and you need to restart it, that gives you a new audio cue for a horde, and Amped Up triggers again. So every time the jukebox gets destroyed and you need to restart it, that's another opportunity for Amped Up to go off. fanny pack now so that we can carry extra grenades. We're sort of preparing for Bad Seeds and Abandoned and things, and that those maps are much longer. But we just can't really afford the double fanny pack because we have double grenade pouch, and we just can't afford that loss of movement speed here when we get to Abandoned and Hell's Bells, because we need to run through the forest on Hell's Bells, we need to run up the mine shaft on Abandoned, and even for Bad Seeds, we need to run from the bridge to the safe room, and so just having that minus movement speed for getting, what, one extra support slot is not going to be worth it. So we have Fanny Pack. We're going to sort of just hope for ourselves, personally, with the trauma resistance, we'll be able to skip a medicine cabinet. Cold brew coffee on 10. The use speed is nice for everything. Reload speed's nice for everything. Nice for everything, but again, the holdout mission. So being able to reload really fast and kill stuff and reload and then swap to a medkit and heal someone and swap to a grenade and then reload, and you'll get lots of value out of this card on the diner. Now to Screwdriver for Bad Seeds. Just sort of picking it up here for the extra stamina, because if things go south on Bad Seeds, chances are you're going to be doing a lot of running. So we're sort of still building up into our use speed for Rolling Thunder, but also stamina for movement on these last couple of missions that will demand a little bit of extra movement for us. EMT bag for the big Bomba heals. At this point, people have, I mean, if you've gone through the entire mission at this point, people have lots of basic cards, but also too, so deep into the campaign at this point, hopefully everyone on your team is running a couple of cards here or there that might give them extra 10, 20 points of health. So I think just the chances of you getting the most value, getting maximum value out of your 95 heal medkits this late in the campaign, chances are you'll get that value out of it. Headband magnifier picked up on Abandoned, which just looks weird. We don't ever use it on Abandoned, but these last two cards are going to give us so much survivability on Rolling Thunder. Canned Goods, the extra 40 health for ourself with EMT bag, poultice, and medical professional. We're going to almost always going to be getting that maximum value out of our medkit, and we can use that medkit crazy fast. So you're loading the field cannon, load the field cannon. You can tank through some damage while doing so. Fire the field cannon, throw a pipe bomb. Hopefully your teammates are helping you, or throw a flashbang at your feet or whatever. And while the field cannon is firing, there's a little delay between firing the field cannon and unloading it. And in that delay, you can fire the field cannon, throw something, heal with your medkit, and by the time you're done, the field cannon is also done and ready to unload. So fire, throw, heal, unload it, and then load a new shell into it. And you're tanking a crap ton of damage. If things are going well and your teammates are semi-useful, or maybe you have bots and things are going well for the bots at least, you can tank with this build 300 points of damage, just about 300 points of damage. And if things are going super bad and you get to the 15th card, then just having 2 more medkits. Movement speed no longer matters because we're going to be standing at a field cannon. There's an extra 200 points of health that we can potentially utilize to just tank our way through using the field cannon, buying our teammates time to kill things around us, and etc, etc, etc. This is the big heals deck. So sort of support for our teammates, but we're also going to be utilizing the use speed and the big heals for ourselves once we get to the field cannon. So yeah, I hope this makes sense. I hope this is helpful. Let me know in the comments what other things you guys are thinking about or struggling with or interested in hearing about. And let me know if this video is helpful for you in general. So yeah, just to recap, right? I would say don't fully commit to just having all of the support cards. Sprinkle a couple in here or there. Make sure that they synergize with each other. Then you can be the support and do other things. Health is the most expensive resource, so this is why having a couple of support cards can be really, really nice. Because if we are basically saving copper by investing into our cards and things like that. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the future.